All right, let's do this. Go over here and make sure I have this all correct. All right, good. So, I don't think we need to really have any introductions to the fact that Alabama is pretty much the epicenter of some crazy ideas and people and whatnot. And whether it's Roy Moore or Sessions or hell, the governor before the current one who got busted for having some weird relationship with one of his staffers. And you get the idea that it's a lot of modern politicians out there do some kind of crazy stuff. But one of the laws that has been proposed this year, which is not very, we're not that far into it, so I can only imagine what other strange stuff is going to come about, would require men who are either approaching their 50th birthday or have had their third child to be mandated to undergo a vasectomy. So if you, let's say, I don't know, are 23 or 4 or something like that, and you have 3, under this law, you would be forced to undergo a vasectomy. And the congresswoman, or rather, the member of what is the Alabama's their state legislator who is proposing this, said it's meant to neutralize the new abortion law that was signed last year. So it's some kind of countermeasure, but I never thought I'd see the day where you could have a actual member of any type of, whether it's the state government or the federal government, saying we're going to give 2 specific um, reasons for making a man be forced to screw with his private parts. I'm so glad I don't live in Alabama, and I don't think this will become law because again, that's a red state and it's a Democrat that's proposing this. But just the idea that a grown woman actually sat back and thought, "What if we have a law that does something about men's private parts?" Let me say hello to Envoy, who's going to be on the chopping block after moving to Alabama and having his third kid or his 50th birthday approaching. And really think about how insane this is because we often say that abortion laws can't hurt chicks if they, I'm trying to really get people to understand how weird this law is. Abortion laws can't hurt chicks if they choose to either not have any children or to only have ones that they plan to, actually bring into the world. So they get knocked up with the intent of becoming a parent. So when you have a clown like the one that made this law who says, uh, when you turn 50, you're automatically going to have to get one of these just because you're in this state. I guess what I'm trying to say is that a lot of times laws can't affect people um, unless they do something in particular. Well, I mean, you get the point that it's creepy because this is like the reverse gender version of the abortion thing taken to a full extreme because with that again they don't mess with you simply because you turn a certain age. With this, they're actually trying to tell you, hey, once you hit 50 or shortly before that, you have to get uh, this procedure done. And remember, it's not too sensitive for me. I just see it as a complicated issue that, I mean, it's why I'm pro-choice because there's a lot of circumstances I don't know about. So that's, I mean, I guess it is, but for me, it's kind of clear cut. And then I love when the anti-abortion people always try to make you feel bad. They're like, "You support murder." Like, so do you. You guys back presidents that bomb babies in foreign countries that are actually here, and you want to get mad at me because I think someone should have the right to, you know, do what they want with their body. I'm not the one doing it. Like, yeah, the thing that annoys me, I'm not even against women having the choice. Is what constitutes as a baby and what doesn't. Like, what's the cutoff date? We've had some laws that have tried to actually be specific, so they'll say 20 weeks in or the first trimester and stuff like that, where they'll specify when it constitutes as actually being one. But you know, there the basic idea is that as long as you have it, whether it's a week after finding out or a few days or a few hours, you're a murderer and you should go to hell. I'd have more respect for that clown that got knocked up last year because, like I said, I don't understand the point of having children you can't afford. I think that's really stupid. And I think a lot of people, as I said before, they get charmed by the idea of the status of being a parent, and they can go on Facebook and Twitter, but their little stupid pictures. Oh, look at me and my baby. Ew." So it's a really dumb cycle. But again, it's not going to get any better by this law because someone can have because the other provision was if you have three children and you're forced to do it. So someone could have three by the time they're. I mean, if it's a dude, we he can literally have them before he hits 20, and they would tell him to get a vasectomy, and no one thinks that's screw. Well, actually, not take that back because this law hasn't caught support within the state, but just the fact that it exists. Like that's one of the you can tell what she was going for with that was uh, some man who's with one partner, and then it takes a year or two or three for the partner to want to have another one over and over. But again, that provision of after your third kid basically, well, first of all, it forces people to not have any more than three, which is, I mean, I don't know why the hell the federal government should be telling anyone how many they can have. But secondly, it accelerates the this proposed forced vasectomy kicking in. Oh, let me read what Cruz wrote on Twitter. What did he write that was so where's that thing? It was yikes and then something that was really ironic. Let me see where it is. Oh, the Democrats, the Democlowns, the Dingbat Party. I got all kind of names for them. Such a strange group of people. And I don't see any of these chicks that were crying about how Kavanaugh was going to take away reproductive rights, shedding one tear over this broad trying to do this to dudes. That's what I told you. Chicks don't care about men at all, like, not to any extent. That's why all those homeless veterans are mostly dudes. I don't think I've ever once, just in going around the entire state, ever seen a homeless chick that was a veteran. Or actually, most homeless are dudes, but we can get into that later. It's just part of a cycle. Okay, Cruz said, "Yikes! A government big enough to give you everything is big enough to take everything, literally." Alabama Democrat proposes bill. Okay, so his comment is a government big enough to give you everything is big enough to take everything, literally. You can't. Okay, so you can't be pro. What do you call it? Or anti-choice, rather. Excuse me, and then want us to believe that it's because of the big government. Like this kills me. They have this. That's why I said, Walt. I don't. I'm never gonna be against that belief. So I don't know if that was you trying to mess with me or actually agreeing with what I'm saying, but I don't know any lawmakers trying to say that after a chick has three children, she has to get her tubes tied. I haven't seen that yet. But I do have a crazy Democrat in Alabama trying to propose that for men. I just think Cruz's comment is really ironic because he's saying it's big government that's causing them to target men's sexual reproductive crap, but then you support doing that for chicks. I remember Jank from TYT had that comment about abortion laws with Republicans that it's government so big it's in your uterus. That's literally like we're getting the version of that with this lawmaker with with du- with men. Yeah, the irony of him saying that was the most comical part. But if you go in his, I'm actually going to read some of those comments. We'll see what people wrote because he has some dumb supporters. Which I mean, I guess you could say for maybe every politician, but like I remember he had a law about term limits. In the comment section, people are like, okay, well, if you believe that term limits are something that needs to happen after 2 terms as senator, which is what he was proposing would be the cutoff point, are you going to not run anymore? And in his own supporters said he should run again if this law doesn't pass. So, it's more like a little ceremonial thing of, oh, I would like to see this law implemented, but I'm not actually going to abide by it. I'm going to be a hypocrite for my own law. Because if he actually believed that, he wouldn't run for a third term. That's like me saying men should never approach women again ever, and then you see me approaching them because why not? Like that would make me a hypocrite. If I'm advocating for something, I can't practice what I preach. How can my word be taken seriously? But again, these politicians can get away with stuff like that because their backers don't think critically. Believe me, when it comes to a father's right, oh, thank God that wasn't a joke. Yeah, I agree. We have all kind of segments about chicks being gross. I actually was thinking of doing a top 10 worst mothers of the 2010s, and I was going to have all these different cases revolving around chicks doing stuff to their children. I think it would be pretty interesting because I had this one case that was so like it's gross and there's video of it, but I don't want to put it in a video because I don't want to get. I'm kind of worried about how graphic it is to see that, so I'll probably just put the news article. My son's mom would make that. I mean, we have a chick that we make fun of on here that I know in real life and I've known for well over 10 years who got knocked up last year and she put the dad in jail before the kid was born and then had it anyway. So it's all ironic. Okay, Ruben says, what do you think about that New York Times article that Bernie would consider bombing Iran and North Korea? All of the anti-war people are panicking because of the article. Well, they're not very bright, I don't think. And also, being anti-war doesn't mean we're like if they screw with us, what are we just going to sell in our hands? The whole point of being anti-war is that you prefer diplomacy and you seek it out ahead of doing anything else. So if Sanders's comments were, "I'm going to try to have peace with these people, but if they attack us, then will respond accordingly," I don't really see a problem with that. Remember, all of these different interventions we're currently in are because the U.S. decided to stick its nose somewhere. Something tells me the New York Times, which has endorsed Warren and Klobuchar, took what Bernie really said out of context. That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you think he's going to switch his tune because he's talking to those clowns? So I'm about 99% sure he said something else and they kind of like wrote it in such a way. Like, you remember what they did to Carter, where they named the article because Carter said he wanted to help Trump out with North Korea. Carter lust for a position in Trump's cabinet. Such a weird. That's why I told you there's strange people working at these news companies. Oh, Ruben, would you want a top 10 worst mothers of the 2010s? That's sad. We got to make it by the decade because there's so many horrible ones. Like I already can think of about 4 or 5 that need to be on there. That sounds great. Yeah, I'm gonna have. I'll read the news article. The only one I'm not gonna show is the chick that. Let's just say she did something to her kid on camera because it's not. I explain it. It's so graphic. It's not anything sexual. Just to kind of say ahead of time what it is, a little bit like to hint at it. But it still is something that I don't know if I can actually show on here. So I'll just appear on camera and discuss the case, and that'll be it. Chris and Caitlin. I actually didn't think of any celebrities when I like envisioned that idea because I mean, there are so many gross, nasty. Like for an example, if you've heard of Lost Prophets, they had this one chick that fell in love with the lead singer of that band, and I think it was this happened in 2012, so it counts as under the last decade. And she literally popped out a kid so they could molest it together. That's someone who's going to be on that list no matter what, because that's a piece of garbage person who, if you're going to talk about making anyone not have children, that should be one of the first people on that on that mandate. Oh my God, Music Fiend finally returned. He decided to make another appearance after a long absence. He was gone longer than Joker was for the 70s. Yeah, for those who aren't that big into Batman, Joker was he disappeared from just comics in general for like 4 years. Yeah, Envoy, and it's actually there was another chick who was I think in her 30s that wanted to do it. Was multiple ones basically that were willing to do that with him, and she actually signed the one of their last correspondence, molesters together or some kind of thing. But yeah, they were going to have a kid together, and they were going to molest it every time it cried or something. It was some kind of gross thing. And I read that, and then it just made me sick to my. But again, it's still because it's something someone wrote versus something that we have video of this mother doing to their kid. I'm still not as how do I explain it, because we actually get to see the mother do this to one of the children. So it's not the molesting thing, but something else. It still isn't the thing that like bothers me the most. Because everybody sent that news article with that video of her doing it. They all just say they're disgusted. Remember the Victoria Martins case? Her mother belongs in that list too. Let me look. Watch it have to be like 20 or 15 or something from how bad all these crappy moms are. We're gonna put Walt's baby mama on there too. He's gonna get mad. He'll be like, "I'm unsubbing. I told you that in confidentiality." I was like, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you." Let me read this. Dismembered body victim was arrested at the scene. Oh, yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. I don't think I heard of that before. That's something that's definitely going on there. Matter of fact, let me put that in my notes so we don't forget about it. Oh, we can thank Ruben for that. Yeah, we had some really horrible parents. So when they do laws about supposedly making certain people not have the chance to create more life, I don't necessarily have an issue with it if it's something that's mandated. Like you never see anyone say, "Oh, this serial killer or this child molester, we need to have them get a vasectomy performed." It's always like really general crap such as this. Like, "Oh, when you turn 50, that's the cutoff point for when you should be able to reproduce." Like, I don't think that's true, and I wouldn't want to do that at that age. But the point is the option. If someone's lived a productive life up until then, I don't really see the point in going after them in that capacity. So, these politicians are getting stranger and crazier. They just go around trying to target people over weird stuff. See what else is here. I was gonna read those before we got into the minutia of that horrible mother video. We're gonna eventually see. I'm gonna go read the comments that people wrote to Cruz on his ironic tweet. Did you see that tweet, Ruben, where he was like, "It's government so big that it's like getting around your private area or something," and it's ironic because that is literally what Republicans have been trying to do with abortion for over 40 years. Like Roe v. Wade passed almost 50 years ago, and they're still not over it. And you want to tell me about big government? And all these people want to have the moral high ground. I care so much about life. That's why I support bombing countries with little kids there that have done nothing to us. Let me see here. Ted Cruz takes aim at Alabama. I should put his name as one of the hashtags. Let me do that. Okay, Alabama vasectomy bill. Ted Cruz reacts. And the hashtags would be Ted Cruz, hypocrite, liar, scammer, Alabama, Congress thought. I'm not gonna put that. So those will be all the ones you can find this under. Okay, I'll read it for you, Ruben. Oh yeah, I'll put deceiver. Baby bomber. He does vote to bomb babies in foreign countries, so probably something else. Okay, we got deceiver and baby bomber. Ruben, Cruz said, "Yikes! A government big enough to give you everything is big enough to take everything literally." In response to this bill, and I was making fun of him for being a hypocrite because you want to do that to chicks, but then when one of these chicks gets in office and tries to do that to you, you cry foul. You go, "Oh my God, how could you go after my sexual parts?" And again, I already said her thing is a little bit different because for as bad as the Republicans are, if you don't have children or you don't have abortions, you can really dodge any kind of legislation they have. But this is someone actually saying when you hit age 50, or if you have 3 children. So it's slightly worse, or at least it's a lot harder to get around with because it's almost purposely trying to target everyone that lives long enough or does a certain thing. And really, if it was just doing a certain thing, I wouldn't be too bothered by it because you could still dodge it. But the idea that there's a broad who's like, once you hit 49, the clock is ticking with respect to your getting a vasectomy. That's what she's doing. Creepy state government lady. That'd be funny if we never have an article. We have another article about her. That's my new nickname for creepy state government lady. Let me see. The envoy was over there giggling. Envoy, I don't want to see you write LOL ever again. I don't do giggles. So you need to have a stern expression. We're gonna ban Ruben for sending me Nira Tandon clips, and we're gonna ban Envoy for laughing because I don't do giggles. There's no humor over here. It's a very serious topic. As you said yourself, it's a sensitive topic. No, it was a joke. Relax. I'm not actually gonna do anything. I remember he posted the Zodiac Killer graph note during Halloween. Yeah, because they for what was it? It's really funny. Cruz has literally was only in office for maybe 2 months before that Zodiac thing started. Oh, this woman's name is Roland. Damn it. She has the same last name as the first name of one of my relatives. That's kind of obnoxious. Um, yeah, Cruz only in office for 2 months before that Zodiac Killer thing started on Twitter. And then during the presidential campaign, it blew up in prominence because like that joke just kind of carried over year after year. It was that joke, and then the one that he looks like McCarthy. That I remember those two things where people would mock him with, and that vampire off of what show is that? I think Ruben might know what I'm talking about. That vampire off of that one show from like 30 or 40 years ago. They said he looks like him too. He's the only politician I've really seen that isn't like a presidential nominee that actually has been mocked over their appearance in a variety of ways. I don't even remember anyone mocking Romney over how he looked. They just kind of mocked him over his persona and public image. Cruz looks like a manlet. I mean, people make fun of how I look, so I don't even care anymore. But you want to say something about how he looks, go ahead. Because after I did those chick videos, I got called ugly at least 300 times. I remember I had some clown that was like, in your video, it looks as though you're wearing lipstick. And I was like, I've never seen anyone wear that where the top lip is darker than the one at the bottom. It's like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Oh, no, Cruz isn't short. I think he's like 5'9". Let me see. I remember when we had the presidential election, the last one. No one, yeah, Sanders' height wasn't posted, so I was just wondering, like, how tall is he? Because I didn't see him in person during the that election cycle. I've seen him in person twice during this one when he's coming to California, but outside of like before that, I was like, I wonder how tall he is. Because one source said 5'9", another one said 5'11". It was all over the place. Yeah, Cruz is 5'11". Rubio's the manlet. He's actually average height for a man. But you remember those little boots he was wearing to make himself look taller, look like high heels, and TYT was making fun of him for it. And then O'Rourke was Superman because he's 6'4". I like how they can't get Trump's height correct still. Like sometimes he's 6'2", sometimes he's 6'3". I remember they did that with me at my graduation because they measured me and they said I was 6'2" and a half. I was like, dude, it's just 6'2". We're gonna round it down to the lowest common denominator. Is actually quite tall compared to average U.S. leaders. Oh, I know he is. Yeah, him and Bush. The older Bush and Clinton are the same height, and Chester Arthur. That's my height. I know just laughs at us men under 6 foot because I know 6'8". I don't know who told you that. I'm not part of the NBA. Yeah, not at all. I already saw how tall I was repeatedly. I'm gonna just have to post that in my channel descriptions. We're gonna have a frequently asked questions stream. Yeah, it's pretty comical. I'm rounding up from now on. 6'1" gang. No, I round down. You're 6 feet. What is this half? You want to show me half? Be the whole half. Complete the circle. Well, I mean, you're the one saying I'm 6'8" or 9 or whatever, which is incorrect. But whatever whatever floats your boat. Yeah, this law is really creepy. The fact that it's been, I guess, I kind of should expect it because there are so many different people, and in Congress we have over 500. The state legislators are, what is it, over 1,000? So out of all those people, there has to be someone that has just weird thoughts. Just kind of think strange things. But the idea that she actually crafted a bill and said, as long as you're a dude, we're going to make sure we get to play with your reproductive parts at some point or another, whether that's when you turn 50 or when you have a third child. And, it's, it's just so creepy, man. I'm so glad I don't live in that state. Like California's got this homeless problem, and it's really it's. I said before that every governor for the last 40 years has either been mediocre or crappy. But I'll take this cycle of despair and dread over the one over there. Let me see here. Pelosi warns allies against using. Oh, I don't cover her anymore. She's been banned on this channel. So you're not going to see any more Pelosi videos. As a matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some random member of like the Senate and just make 60 videos about him in a year. Just like every week, there's 2 videos on that one particular member of Congress. A lot of California people are moving to Texas. Yeah, one of my who was it that was trying to move over there? One of my relatives that was thinking of going over there because their job was supposedly considering moving to there. And I had a substitute teacher when I was in 12th grade who had actually mentioned that because the California politicians are stupid compared to the ones from Texas, who prove to be better negotiators, they're getting better deals to go to the South than to be in the West. So we have crappy negotiators for our state leaders. I don't think it can get any worse than Alabama and Mississippi regarding dumb social policies. Well, Mississippi, from what I remember, it's them in South Carolina that California subsidizes the welfare system of. So, like when they were talking about, we hope California secedes from the union, that means they're going to get cut off from us. I don't even have a problem with that being the case. I just think that's really ironic and funny, given that like people in the South have like this angry perception toward over here. Like we're just the tugboat place or the state of welfare, but then we're subsidizing you as well because we have more people. A new wave of carpetbaggers. Okay, Envoy says California's not doing too well. Cost of living, homelessness crisis. Well, I told you that the homelessness crisis, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to justify it, but it comes with being the largest state. If you have 8 times number of people as I don't know, Mississippi, then we're going to have more homeless people just by default of having more people here. The thing is that the homeless issue is tied to the cost of living because they're making apartment building these little one room shacks cost $4,000 a month, 3,000. Like I don't know any normal person that can afford that. And even people who can don't want to go in some little itty bitty hut like that. So I said that it just seems like basic things are so overpriced for like no reason. Like, oh, you want to go to school? Well, hey, give us 20,000 and we'll give you a piece of paper. After you know, get out, you can have a little nice shackle to your leg. And then when you can't afford anything, we can say it's because you bought stupid stuff and you didn't prioritize your funding. So I said just a bunch of scams. US is the country of corruption and scams. The schools are a scam. The housing is a scam. The employment's a scam. The chicks are scams. All of it, and I've documented all of it on here. So I heard that they have so many empty apartments, more so than any other state in the nation. That's so idiotic. I mean, literally, they make apartments that cost so much. All people can do is stare and look at them. There's a standard of living they want to maintain because of Hollywood and whatnot. Yeah, but they're making like Envoy. They're going into lower income communities and purposely making places that cost 2, 3,000 a month. And then they wonder why no one is even going to attempt to try and live there. Chinese business people and other wealthy foreigners are buying up all the California real estate. New York is the same. Well, I don't know about New York. I haven't been over there ever. So I'd have to look into their statistics. I know that they have a much better transportation unit than we do because they're a lot more with the buses and whatnot. Live paycheck to paycheck, can't afford $1,000 emergency, all of that. Wage has been stagnant for 40 years, and people wonder why no one's climbing up. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Oh, again, that music fiend. I'm not gonna even bother challenging that because I haven't looked into it. But yeah, over here they're actually trying to seemingly charge people for the weather and just because it's in this state. But also dirty as hell. Well, I was just trying to give you some credit because I don't attempt to rag on any of these states. I'm not on anyone's team with respect to which state I'm in. I like certain things about this one and I hate certain things about this one. And one of them is the cost. People keep saying that Hollywood is now reaching out to China for their target audience, but I don't know how true that is. I know that Disney has invested a lot for the live action remake of Mulan, which should have just stayed a cartoon. The cartoon was terrific. You know that when they put what was that movie Last Jedi when that went to China, didn't it get yanked after like 2 weeks because it was performing so horribly? Yeah, music and they actually have people have uploaded True Hollywood documentary full episodes on here calling it Holly Weird. And they even did that for the one that was about what was that show, Jeopardy? Whichever one had the host that killed himself, which is kind of mean because I mean, I'd rather be depressed than any of the other stuff those people are. I guess what I'm saying is I'd rather someone do something to themselves than to other people. But no good deed goes unpunished. So we're gonna see more people get attacked for being depressed and not bothering anyone else. That'd be funny if the person who named that clip that way is actually like one of that celebrity's biggest fans, and they were like a widow. They just were crying when they found out about them doing that. Like you left me in this world alone. Got pulled out of China because no one there cared about it. I mean, I don't blame them. It's just funny that if Disney is attempting like that, they spent so much on that movie for it to literally just completely bomb. I mean, I think The Room did better than what China did in China. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm trying to think of which one of these senators I'm gonna pick. Maybe Mike Braun. I like making he looks like the type that is kind of weird a little bit. He's trying to be one of Trump's new cheerleaders. Oh, music being don't even get me started on that. For both that clip and for the one on the it was like I did not hit her that for that one too. I know two people who have the exact names of each of those characters that in real life that are like that. Again, an envoy is saying my name. Say my name, say my name. I don't know what he's gonna type. I'm so excited. I'm waiting with faded breath. I think I've read all because usually you'll say, "Go read my message." I think I've read all of them. So I'm sitting here just like, oh man, I can't wait. That's gonna be his whole message, just my name. You want to type it. Felt great. Oh, they all should have stayed cartoons. That's what Ruben typed. I didn't see it. Disney. Oh, okay. So that was Ruben that was writing something, and Envoy wrote some. I'll read Envoy's first because he grabbed my attention first. Do you think if we pull some resources for military spending and put some of that into the housing crisis, we could make a difference? Yeah. I mean, if we're spending 700 billion annually on defense, and it's not stopping us from continuing any of these, meaning that we're literally funding never-ending conflicts while claiming that the funding is putting an end to them. And we're banking on the fact that people aren't paying attention and that the ones that are just going to blindly support us to keep it going. Yeah, if we took maybe a seventh of that and put it into, I mean, $100 billion into giving people higher wages, two, three, $4 more a year, and then uh, into making some homes that cost maybe 500, 600 a month to live in, it would be a completely different system. $100 billion by itself. That would solve. I think that alone could solve the housing crisis in pretty much any state, and definitely, if not give free school, then certainly reduce it. Now, if you did 300 billion or 400 billion, it would be a different country, man. But you know how the conservative pricks go. That's the handout. That's the handout. Remember, over 40% of the homeless have jobs, but they're looking for handouts. Okay. Okay, Ruben said Disney unjustifiably won back the money that they lost from Last Jedi with live action Lion King, which is basically the exact same plot as the cartoon one. Yeah, I don't understand these live action adaptations that just rip off the cartoon. Like when they said, "Oh, we're making a live action The Last Airbender," we already before that horrible movie came out, we knew it was just going to take the first season and condense the hell out of it, and then we would be stuck watching some lamer version of something that we could enjoy at its full length on TV. But again, they're too lazy to actually make a new plot, so that's why they do that. It's the same thing with Super. People rushed out to see Battle of Gods and the Resurrection F film, and then they go, "Oh my God, new cartoon, woo!" And then we find out, oh, it's just them retelling the movies, except crappier looking and padded out. What a thrill! I just stopped watching that show after like the first maybe 4 or 5 episodes because I was like, why am I watching the longer version of the movie? I didn't come back until that tournament, which was really aggravating because it had a couple of good. It's just like with every arc of that show. It has a couple good episodes, and then the whole plot just falls to pieces. Mm. Hey, Envoy, have you seen the? I was going to ask you, have you seen the admits jealousy video yet? Because I wanted to use that same format for something else, so I was going to try to get your opinion on it. Like that thing of playing clips of someone while you talk about them. Then Congress won't have enough money to give out to Israel and Raytheon's tax cuts. Good. Oh, they'll find a way because they always make magical dollars appear when they want to do something for a donor. I mean, we keep getting told we have this big debt, and then Trump has $1 trillion budget, and none of the Republicans are crying about it, other than Rand Paul and Mike Lee. Those are the only two. You know what? I think I should do like some kind of because even though Rand annoys me sometimes with some of the fiscal conservative stuff, he at least is consistent. The other ones will just like they're so worried about ever being against Trump ever that they just turn into cowards. Like, oh, I was opposed to this, but the president sat me down and explained. No, what happened was you want his voters to vote for you for another term as senator and not get primaried by one of his stooges in whatever state you're in, so you're going to go along with it. That's literally the Trump era in a nutshell. You got Democrats that don't know how to oppose him properly, and you've got Republicans who acquiesce to him because they want to keep his voters. You literally see stronger opposition to him on this channel than you do from the clowns in Congress because they're paid to lose. They have nothing to win or to gain from actually going after him on substantive issues. Because if you want to go after Trump for trying to cut Social Security, you got to go after Biden for trying to cut Social Security. If you want to go after him for bombing 7 countries, you have to go after Obama for bombing 7 countries. If you want to go at like just anything he's done, they themselves have done. If you want to go after him on the environment, which is one of the few issues where I've said he's actually made substantive change, you have to go after people like Joe Manchin which he's another person we should get into more. But you get the point that they don't have any way to attack him that is true and not some nonsense about you called Ukraine or whatever because it all goes back to them being pricks who stand for nothing. So there goes another one of my little rants. I'm gonna have to cut those out now. Oh, Ruben, did you know that we didn't get a fourth season? And I saw this written by what's that guy's name? It was one of the writers for the Last Airbender. We didn't get a fourth season of that because they wanted to allocate resources to the movie. Like we literally, oh, man, I hate live action adaptations because like that ruined that show from getting another season. That ruined that Green Lantern show from getting a second season. It's just so lame. Hollywood messes up everything. That ruined what's that one Spider-Man cartoon? Because they canceled the fourth one, and wanted to go with the. I could just think of all these different occasions where some better property got ruined because of something else with the same name. Yeah, that one. Man, Ruben, that was. I remember I used to. There were so many kids in my school with toys from that, and they loved it. I remember when Kai got announced, which was I think a couple of months or like around the same time Evolution came out. They were people had jokes where they were like Toriyama sat back and was like, "Oh my god, the fans are mad at me for approving this horrible movie. I know. I'll re-release Z in HD, and I'll say that this is the new manga accurate version." Yeah, Spectacular was such a, and I guess what's frustrating is as a person that's seen most of those cartoons and kind of hates what's come after it, you know from like watching it now makes me a little disappointed. Not in it, but in the stuff that's come after, because they purposely went out of their way to say we can't do anything as good as this ever, so we're just going to try to do something entirely different, and it has failed spectacularly. Pardon my pun. That'd be funny if I started reviewing those shows. Be like, hey, here's a whole season, because I would actually try to do it in depth. Like it would be a whole season of it and just go episode by episode. Because I do have a lot of opinions on these plots and their deteriorating nature over the last couple of years. Yeah, Ruben, another that was another good show that like they get the original voice actors to come back and voice these characters again, but now it's an alternate universe where all they do is make jokes and there's no serious plots or anything. So I said, man, they just take everything and ruin it. Like I've seen plenty of people say that Korra is much worse than the Last Airbender. People that love the Last Airbender don't even like that show. So it's like it by definition we have to get crappier over time just cause. That's why I've had the love hate relationship with Super for the last 4 years, because it's just some dumb plot goes for a couple of episodes or chapters, and I'm left sitting there like, really? The manga's been much better, in my opinion, for the last year. However, I do have to give it credit, but that's because Toyotaro rushed to finish the Tournament of Power, which his version was horrible. That thing was garbage. Uh, so after he was able to put that out by his mandate, he decided to do something that was actually entertaining. And that last chapter, I loved it. It was great. But yeah, as a collective, that whole series has just been obnoxious. Yeah, that was weird too. Why would you take? Because I love the first season of that show. There was no point in taking 80 episodes and trying to squish them up into one. And then didn't they get rid of Misty and Brock? So I'm saying they just screw everything up. Then they were trying to remake the first movie as well. Just are you really that devoid of original ideas? Oh, remember all the different times X-Men has tried to make the Dark Phoenix saga? They do it in the cartoon, they do it in two movies. Actually, in two cartoons, rather. Yeah, that was really stupid. Give me a second. I'm telling you, it's like Envoy just has become Baby from Dragon Ball GT and possessed everyone. Like I told Envoy at the beginning of the stream, I don't do giggles. So then this person who hasn't called me after I've called them for days decides to call me during my stream, mess it up. Everybody leaves because they're so disappointed. And the first thing that comes out of their mouth after I mention the fact that I have called them literally for days is, I don't do giggles. I don't know how many times I have to say that for you people to understand. Like Ruben doesn't giggle. He doesn't laugh ever. Only time I ever saw Ruben express the slightest amount of comedy was at the picture I made of Netanyahu sitting behind bars and put the Trump lock him up chant over it. Spirited Away was getting a sequel. Man, the only thing I remember about Spirited Away is that the uh what was it, the villain or that the mask on one of the characters in there was the inspiration for Darth Nihilus from Coder 2. And now Envoy has joined a certain other user and trying to think that every time I answer the phone, it's a girlfriend, which is just completely insane. Yeah, now I remember. Have I seen that movie before? I'm pretty sure I have, or when I was a little kid or something, but I don't know. Yeah, Envoy, I agree. The original had the best in the series. And really, what kills me so much is that if you take out the Boo arc, I think Z is almost perfect. Like, there's very little I would change, but it's just that arc, and I don't even dislike it. I just think it's got a lot of story beats that keep shifting around because it doesn't have as clear of a vision as the other ones do for Z. It's up to actually beat the villain, and then no, the Boo arc wasn't too long. It's actually around the same length as Cell. It just has too many parts that don't really go to, like, you can watch the Frieza arc and tell it was meant that there was no kind of switch from who's going to take out Frieza. You could tell from Cell as well that at most it was one of the Saiyans that was going to pull it off, which is what ends up happening. You could tell from the Saiyan arc. Like, Boo is the only arc where it's got like 5 or 6 people that it could go either way for, and it's not entertaining because of just all the, like, you just get sick of it after a while because the story doesn't lend itself to a coherent narrative. It just flips around a lot. Like, oh my god, Boo just got killed by Majin Vegeta. Oh, he's back. Oh my god, the Boar is the king of the demon world. He's gonna be this, and he's just as strong as Cell, and Gohan's weaker. So how are they gonna take? Oh, he gets killed to show how strong Boo is. Oh my god, Gohan's achieved his ultimate form. He's beating up Boo. Oh, he just absorbed Gotenks, and now he's fighting on par or beating him up rather. Man, Ruben, that filler by itself did not ruin that arc. The ending of it, I think, was completely just horrible for ending the manga. Like, this is the final major battle of the manga, and you're gonna make it a random villain that showed up in the last two volumes versus the main character and a guy that showed up in the second half. You're not gonna let Gohan fight, Piccolo fight, Krillin, 18, Tien, Yamcha, none of the people who've actually been main characters throughout this thing. We're not gonna let them have anything to do in this battle other than do this. That's lame. Telling you, once I started writing my own stories, I took a long, hard look at Z, and that part just stuck out to me. I really do want to make my own little rewriting the Boo Saga video because there's so much stuff that could be done differently. I think the only character they actually did justice to for that arc that wasn't introduced in that one was Hercule and Vegeta. Those are the only two characters that actually benefited from the arc. Everybody else, beep. That would be an hour-long vid. Like, it's just, you gotta have characters actually do stuff. Like with Videl, she shows up, she's a fighter, she's stronger than her dad, and the only thing she gets to do is get destroyed by Spopovich and then absorbed by Boo. and then be Gohan's baby mama in the epilogue. Are you kidding me? So that's just a wasted character that does nothing. But again, that's built up to actually be something. Because if the tournaments, and this was something that was brought up on TV tropes, if the tournaments were like how they were in Dragon Ball, she might have been able to win that thing. Well, Gotenks is just I mean, first of all, making a form that there's a time limit on that's that short makes it to where we can't get attached to that character as an audience because he's literally on screen so little that, like, I'm pretty convinced were it not for the video games like Budokai Tenkaichi and the rest of them, people wouldn't even remember that character because those games don't have a time limit, even though the form's supposed to have one. So there's a lot of weird stuff that is going on with that show. Who else was treated like trash? Uh, Maybe Fat Boo was good in that arc. I just wish that we'd actually be able to see him do other stuff besides besides his own saga because they've really mistreated his character everywhere. They treat him bad in the Universe 6 tournament in GT. He's just there to power up Oob, who still doesn't even do anything with him. They've done him bad in the manga now because he's just laying around sleeping. I'm just tired of every time it looks like he's gonna do something. Like Boo's not even my favorite character, and I'm sick of that. I meant to include his two forms as well, Goten and Kid Trunks. Oh well, Goten was just like him. I already said him and Kid Trunks are a poor man's version of Goku and Future Trunks. Yeah, I don't even know if I would have allowed Goten to even be created because he doesn't serve any purpose to the story. Yeah, him and Trunks are just there to be fusion boys. A fusion that still doesn't even end up actually doing anything besides making the enemy stronger. Now Ruben's over there trolling, talking about Winnie the Pooh. Since it's from Japan, they're probably gonna have him fight Pikachu or something. Yeah, it's just a really Dragon Ball after the Cell arc is kind of just this series of events that doesn't really build off of anything. Like if we didn't have the Tournament of Power, that Golden Frieza arc would literally have amounted to nothing. You could have just thrown it away. That's the only thing the Tournament of Power did that was good for me. That it allowed that arc to be saved in the sense that it isn't just this thing we can throw out. Because like with every other arc of Super, it still has some kind of connective tissue, just a little bit. That one is just the only one where it's like just random. If the character that is supposed to be iconic just comes back with a new form and gets disposed of, and that's just another day in the hood. Let's see here. Yeah, well, the blue arc wasn't too. The length isn't the issue. It's all the little weird stuff that goes on during it. I'm telling you, it's the same length as Cell. It's like Frieza, Cell, and Boo are all the same length. Yeah, but I'm saying that an arc dragging isn't the same as it having some, like, imagine it has a clear cut scenario of Boo getting stronger and then some characters training for that. That wouldn't be the same as what we got where it's just all over the place. Boo is one of weakest villains in terms of story for me. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I like Fat Boo as an ally, but they don't use him as that because they keep making excuses because they're too lazy to make characters who actually can fight him. So you made a character who you now have to try to get rid of every 2 seconds. You know, it'd been really cool if for the Boo arc, because you know how TN's barely in it. Imagine if he was like, "I'm so sick of training and not being able to fight or do anything. This is so like he has a whole character arc of just having to motivate himself to keep training because he's sick of being outclassed. Even though all he does is train, he can never make it. And then he gets to be trained by the Supreme Kai and have his potential unlocked instead of Gohan and actually put up a fight against Boo. Like, wouldn't that have been way cooler than just we're gonna have Gohan have like 3 or 4 different untapped potentials? It's because the Boo. It's because Boo didn't have any story background with the characters like the other villains did. Yeah, like Jiro, even though he wasn't in the original series or Dragon Ball, he still ties the Red Ribbon Army back into. You get the point that's connected. It doesn't just feel like it's out of nowhere. Frieza was literally that the seeds of that were planted in the Saiyan arc. I usually give the first arc of a series a pass because it's them trying to start something, so it's kind of just all supposed to. It's supposed to be the beginning of it. You get the point that I can be a lot more lenient towards something like that. Mm. And it's been this has been another one of those general topic streams where just all kind of stuff gets discussed. Told you I'm very versatile. I have all kind of ideas. No, they wasted a whole bunch of characters in that arc. That like not even just the ones I mentioned, but like Deborah is literally the king of the demon world. He's supposed to be as strong as Perfect Cell. We know Piccolo's been training for 7 years, and we don't get to see the two of them fight. Instead, all we get from Piccolo is smash up the wizard who comes right back after getting supposedly murdered. To have more shine. Yeah, I tend to disagree with people on that because um, given the way that how do I explain this? Um, there's a way of me giving this off, but like I kind of see this as I'd rather have the cast from the original series because when you think about it, Z only up until the Boo arc only adds 2 major characters to the main cast, which are Vegeta and Gohan. So I'd rather see that group from the original series and then those 2 characters fight more and more different villains and whatnot and continue to get focus. And it's kind of like a testament to that in the sense of how the ones who were already there got treated. So if Yamcha and Tien both barely get to do anything in all of Z, what hope was there for Raditz to do anything other than have one fight and get murdered and never show up again? That's why I was kind of annoyed with the new Broly because I wanted it to be a scenario where there's a villain that shows up and causes the older characters in the sense of they were introduced earlier to all team up against that person. Like I'm kind of annoyed with everyone has to be a friend, that sort of thing, because it makes it to where the story can't really have that many antagonists for the pre-existing cast already fight. Oh, okay, all right. Now I know what you're talking about. I forgot that was a nick. I thought you actually meant the character. No, the movies get on my nerves because they have like ridiculous premises. Like, oh my God, Broly's powering up, and Piccolo is contacting Goku and Vegeta. Well, why isn't Tien showing up? Well, why isn't Krillin showing up? Why aren't any of these other characters who we know can sense that making any type of appearance? Um, Admittedly, it would have been a good way to tie in back into the origins of the Saiyans, but into the like last years of the Saiyans. But I'm still I like Boo as a character. I just think that they could have done his arc better. Like I guarantee you, if I had been the writer of the Boo arc, it would feel a lot more natural. characters would actually serve a purpose instead of being introduced and show. And I'm just saying that I really don't like the way that arc went. Like, and I can't say that about many of the other arcs. It's like after like post Cell, every arc I've got like 30 or 50 different ideas of how it could have been done better. Yeah, they don't really tell us much about the Saiyans ever. Then again, they don't really tell us much about any of the pre-existing characters. Like it's just a big ball of mystery. Toei and Shonen Jump wanted to make the human characters look like weakened so the Saiyans could shine. Oh, I know. And the only one they actually let get any kind of focus after Z or when Z starts or just as Z went on was Krillin, who I think is the best out of them. But still, I always have to explain like Yamcha and Tien aren't even my favorite characters, but they actually have cool, unique powers and personalities if you write them properly. Whereas these other ones are just kind of like meh to me. That would be. I do think I'm gonna make that video, like rewriting Z, rewriting the Boo arc, the Boo saga, whatever. Because I really I have a lot of stuff I would change about that. But look, I thank you for attending the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of topics were discussed. I'm a little tired because I got this light beaming on me with this jacket on. So I'll see you. I'll put up stuff this week and I'll do another stream on Saturday. So have a good rest of your week and enjoy the content.